What's up, guys? So today we're going to talk about how I feel and my thoughts on living here in Dominican Republic for the last 4 years. Now, you may or may not have known that last month was our anniversary, our 4-year anniversary of living here in Dominican Republic. We actually moved here in March of 2021, and currently it is April 2025. So we have done five, I just said 4. We have done 4 years here in Dominican Republic. And I always get the questions of people asking me, how did I adjust? How do I like it? Do I see myself ever going back to the US? How long am I going to stay here? So we're going to talk about all of that in this video. So first I want to start off with a 4-year timeline, kind of giving you guys a snapshot of how things were going for us year by year up until today. So if we go back to March of 2021 all the way through March of 2022, which was our first year, I would say that first year was kind of bumpy as we were transitioning into this new life. Not that things didn't go smooth, but they went as smooth as possible when you're talking about moving to another country. So adjusting to a new life was kind of different for me. And I also say even for my wife, because she had been living in the US for about 13, 14 years. So she also had to come back here and adjust. Now, it may have been easier for her to do so than me, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't difficult after being somewhere for so long. But as I said several times, living and visiting a place is two totally different things. And not to mention that when we first got here, my wife's mom was really, really sick. So that kind of put a strain on her, and that creates like a trickle down effect. I mean, if she's dealing with it, that means everybody in the household is dealing with it. So it was kind of bumpy in the beginning, but it was never to the point where we were like or questioning, did we make the right decision? It wasn't that bad. If it was that bad, I definitely would have, I would have said something, but it wasn't anything like that. It was just, I would say, just normal things that you deal with during a transition. So let's go to our second year being here, which is March 2022 all the way through March of 2023. So in that particular year, we started to get our footing just a little bit. We started getting into more business. My wife got into property management, where she started managing Airbnb properties and also just long-term rental properties. And for me, I was starting to also get my daily routine. That second year, it still didn't feel real to me. I felt like I was on a long vacation or something, that it was gonna come to an end. And I don't know if it was because the way our lifestyle was, it was similar to like we were visiting here, except that we were staying in our own place, because a lot of the stuff we did with her family, and that was pretty much it. Like when we did things, either we'll do it with just us three or we'll do things with our family. So it still kind of felt like unreal, long vacation. That's how I would describe the second year. So what happened from March 2023 to March of 2024? Well, in this year, things started to actually feel real. I felt like I could put my foot on the gas and apply a little bit more pressure, because I realized at this point, or somewhere around this time, or maybe a little bit before, that, hey, we're here to stay. We're here to stay long term. God willing, nothing happens that we have to return, or anything, that forces us that we have to leave. This is where we're gonna be. So at this point, more people started to reach out to us. So we started to make more contact with people. We started to network more. It's not like people wasn't reaching out to us the 2 years prior, because they were, but the type of people who were reaching out to us in this third year were more like, hey, I'm moving there. You know what I'm saying? Versus the other people, they were just passing through. And the people who were reaching out to us in this year, it was like, they're moving here, they want to invest, they want to start businesses. So we started making a lot of contacts, we started networking, and things just started to feel real. Like life here started to feel real. I don't want to say alive, because I always felt alive. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a person that needs to be out in the street and, in the club and nothing like that to feel alive. I can hang out on my balcony, smoke me a cigar, and I'm good. But live in the sense where you're making contacts, building social circles, doing business, things that we weren't doing with other people the 2 years prior. We were just doing our business and the things that we had to do. So 2023 to 2024, we start to feel alive and really settled in here. So let's go from March 2024 to March of 2025. Last year, or that year in particular, I would have to say was my best year here and was the highlight of my time here. And the reason why I say that is because we started, well, one of the highlights is that we started building a social network, building community with other expats and people who were moving here. And that just has been the highlight of that last year, man. So we've just been really enjoying ourselves, having a good time, where we can actually say without a doubt that here in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, this is home for the unforeseeable future. So that's a quick snapshot and timeline of how I saw things progress these last 4 years. So next thing I want to talk about is pros and cons, because people ask me all the time, what are the pros and cons of living in Dominican Republic? And to be honest with you, that's a difficult question to answer, because to me, pros and cons are subjective, because what's a pro to me may be a con to you, and what's a con to you may be a pro to me. So I would just say this. I'll tell you from my experience, the things that I consider cons, they're not cons enough where they're deal breakers for me, but others may consider them cons. So we're going to start off with cons first, because we want to end it on a positive note with the pros. So one con I would say is the island time, customer service, that particular piece of living here can be a con. And you guys hear me say this all the time. You even probably heard my wife say it all the time, that island time is slow, customer service is not the best, but it's the Dominican way of life. So for me, do I think it's a con? It is, but it doesn't bother me like that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't bother me like that. But I know some people, especially people from America, we're used to things happening when we need them to happen at a faster rate. That's not how things work here. The next con I would say is the traffic. If you're living in Santo Domingo, the traffic can be a con. Anytime I hear someone talk about Santo Domingo, or if I mention anything about Santo Domingo, the first thing people talk about is they hate the traffic. And the traffic can be a con. For me, yes, it's a con, but again, that doesn't bother me, because as I always say, I don't work here. So I don't have to get up in the morning at 8 o'clock or whatever time and commute anywhere. So it doesn't bother me to the point where I feel like it's a problem for me. I'm sitting out on my balcony and I'm looking at the traffic. I don't have to get out in it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have anywhere that I need to be. I don't have anybody I need to report to. So it just doesn't bother me to that point. So the traffic, the customer service are the two things that I consider cons. Now, I was sitting here trying to think of some more cons, because I know some people say, oh, he full of it, man. It's more bad things about Dominican Republic than that. And you know what? There may be. But in my everyday life, I don't experience some of those things. The only thing that I know that I experience on I wouldn't say a day-to-day basis, but weekly basis, is I have to deal with customer service, because I'm always going somewhere to handle some type of business, whether it's at the grocery store, whether it's at the pharmacy, wherever I'm interacting. So I see that often. And if I gotta go somewhere and do something, that means I gotta get out in the traffic. So those type of things that I encounter on a weekly basis. So I can't think of anything else. And if I think of something else, then I'll let you know. But personally, those are the top two things that come to mind when I think about cons. I can't say that, oh, the women, they just want you for your money and they just play a lot of games. I can't say that. I don't date women here, so I can't say that. So that may be a con for some people, but it's not a con for me. So that's an example of things that may be cons for other people because of their lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Dating is not my lifestyle, so I don't have that as a con. So let's jump into the pros. One of the pros of living in Dominican Republic still, to me, is the cost of living. I don't care what anybody tells you. I live here, and I live here with a family of 3. The cost of living in Santo Domingo, which is a major metropolitan city, is still 50 to 60% cheaper than any major metropolitan city in the United States, period. And I pay 50% less in terms of overhead than what I paid when I was living in Fort Lauderdale. My numbers don't lie. So people who tell you, oh, it's expensive, listen, it can be. Are there $4,000, $5,000 apartments here? Of course, but I don't stay in one. So I'm telling you that cost of living here is still cheaper than the United States. That is a pro for me. I don't care what anybody says. The next one is the weather. The weather here is always, to me, is always perfect. And perfect to me is sunny. Sunny and 80 degrees. Now, if it does get cool at night, it may drop down to, 70 or something like that. But most of the time it's 80. So the weather is definitely a pro for me because I don't like cold weather. I don't like snow, none of that stuff. I don't want to have to put layers and layers of clothes on me in order to keep myself warm. So I would rather the hot weather. And the next one is the relaxed lifestyle. Yes, nobody here is in a hurry to do anything. They'll get to it when they get to it. And that forces me to slow down and just enjoy the present. Yes, sometimes it can be frustrating when you're in a hurry and you want something done, but nobody's gonna move at the pace that you're used to. They're gonna move at the pace that they wanna move. So the relaxed lifestyle of how Dominicans are is really a pro. And the next one is safety. Now I know that's a dirty word to Dominicans, man. They do not want you to call their island safe. They want this island to be like Palestine. For whatever reason, I don't know. But every time I say that it's safe here or safer here than the United States, they want to prove me wrong. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I've lived in the United States and I've lived here. And it's more dangerous in the United States than it is here. Yes, there is crime here. No one said there was no crime here. No one said, this is not the Garden of Eden. There is crime here. And then you're gonna have the people from the United States, well, you can't compare the United States to the Dominican Republic because this and that. Man, shut up. How about that? I can compare what I want to compare. So safety is a pro. I've been here 4 years and I have yet to see a mass shooting or hear about one. I have yet to see a school get shot up. I've yet to see political violence, and I can probably go on and on. So anyway, safety here is a pro. And the next one is the ability to build community. And I mentioned this when I was giving you a snapshot by year that our last year, we started building community with like-minded individuals, people who are here for pretty much the same reasons we are, expats, guys who are married to Dominican women or their Dominican girlfriends or they're about to get married, things like that. We built a network, people that I not only call my friends, but I also consider them family. People like Patrick and Indita, my guy Jamie, we call him Jaime. Don't confuse him with Jamie Gruber though. I consider him family. Also, Jamie Gruber, that's my guy, even though he's in Punta Cana. I don't know why he's living out there in Punta Cana, but he need to move to Santo Domingo. But I consider Jamie family. And Jonah from Jay Gives Back, that's my brother. I consider him family. Also, Jerry and Shayla from Jerry and Shayla's Island Living. Marcus and Wendy from Love, Purpose, and Passports. My guy Tony and his wife Maria. Grancis and his wife Maylene. My partner Darren, my guy Thomas and his wife Indita. And there's probably a couple of others, man. If I forgot it, then charge it to my mind, not my heart. I'm just coming off the top of my dome. So having the ability to build this community with like-minded people is a pro for me. The next one is family time. Being able to spend more time with family has been a pro. Now, granted, when I lived in the US, I did work a 9 to 5. I wasn't working for home. So we never had a chance to really have, family time all the time. When we wanted to, we had to squeeze it in there. And now that we're here and we work from home, that's no longer an issue. So that's been a pro to be able to spend more time with my family. The next one is seeing that my daughter is happy living here. Man, if I told my daughter that we were moving back to Fort Lauderdale or the United States, she'll probably tell me bye-bye. I'm telling you, she is enjoying herself. She herself has also created a social circle with her friends. She has a best friend that stays next door. She's also built relationships with her cousins and some of the other expats' kids. So she is enjoying herself, and I love that too. So that has been a pro to seeing her happy. Another pro that I see also is my wife being able to spend more time with her family. As you guys know, Dominicans are family orientated very much. And her being here and having that easy access to her family, I can tell that it's something that was kind of missing when she was in the United States and that she enjoys. Although she hates to go to Villa Melia all the time. She got used to being over here, but I still can see that she enjoys to be able to see her mom, see her dad. Like I say, on Sundays, man, she gets up in the morning, she goes over her dad's house to have breakfast with him, goes over her mom's house to have lunch with her, and then just hangs out with her cousins and her aunts and her other friends, you know, maybe drinking a beer in the park and things like that, just doing her own thing. So that's something that she couldn't do when she was in the United States. You know, that would be something that she'll do maybe once or twice a year when she flew over here to visit. So that has been a pro. And the last thing that I consider a pro is the sense of freedom. Yes, my sense of freedom living here has been it's probably been a pro for me, man. I really enjoy the sense of freedom that I have, the ability to move around as I please, the ability to sit in my chair for 12 hours if I need to, doing whatever work I need to do. And if I want to stop, get up and go and do something either with my family or go to the cigar bar or whatever, you know, I could stop in the middle of the day and just say, you know what, I want to go to the cigar bar, even though I hadn't done it. I did it one time just because I wanted to see how it felt doing it. So, you know what, I'm just going to go to the cigar bar at 12 o'clock because I can. So, but just knowing you have that sense of freedom, man, it has just been, it's been a game changer for me. It's been a game changer for me. So those to me are the pros and cons. I know people say he just lying. He got all them pros, but he only got 2 cons. And you know what? That's probably the reason why I'm living here. If there are more pros than cons, then that means that that's a place you should be, or that should be a place that you should give some consideration to. I'm sorry if you think I should have more cons because you live a certain life and you have more cons. Hey, that's on you. I don't live that life. I live my life. In my life, I don't have all those cons. In my life, I have all these pros. So that makes me enjoy living here in Dominican Republic. So guys, let me know what are your cons of living in Dominican Republic. Let me know what your pros are living in Dominican Republic. So until then, guys, remember, always keep your goals at the forefront of your mind. Always live in the present, because that's the only way you're going to live your best life. And I'm out. Peace.
Je begon aan mijn best life, yeah. Je begon aan mijn best life, yeah. Something you and me, oh. Je begon aan mijn best life, yeah. Jumping, flexing, no.